to the May 13th, 2024 Board of Appeals. Call it to order. And Mitch, would you give the invocation tonight?
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody stand and we'll do an invocation.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this beautiful day you've given us. Just thank you for this opportunity to serve our community. Just pray that the discussion, decisions made will be in the best interest of the city and its citizens. Pray that you would just be over the conversation, just help it to be fruitful, and just be with the decisions made. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Thank you, Mitch. Okay, if you'll do the roll call. Melissa? Here?
Board Member Penley. Board Member Sharp. Here. Board Member Qualls.
Here.
Board Member Zitzel.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum, and I'm going to just not go over our introductory statement unless Melissa wants to hear it again. Okay. Since the applicant is obviously not here tonight, and the staff has heard it many times, so if he does come in, we can go back and do the introduction statement. We do have the minutes prepared by staff for the May 13th, 2024 meeting, and we've given a little bit of time ahead of the meeting to review the minutes, and I will entertain a motion to approve or approve with corrections. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any questions? Additional question? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
New business. We have one case set on the docket tonight. The applicant's not here, but it's been properly advertised, Melissa.
Yes.
And so and the applicant's been noticed. So I think we'll just go ahead and go through this, and the board can decide if they want to postpone it or continue the review of this. What I did when I sent out the information to y'all, I tried to, since it's the same lot with two different configurations on the house, I got a little confused, and the staff helped me get unconfused. And so Plan 1, I just labeled it Plan 1, is the plan where they've taken a structure, a house, and fronted it on Marion Avenue. Still, it's the same lot. It's the same lot that was, it's Lot 11, the Oak Park subdivision, Plat Book 9, page 19. It's a lot of record, as I discussed in the information I sent. But Mike let me know that the applicant desired on Plan 1 to front the house on Marion Avenue, which was a result of that was setback both in front and back. And then Plan 2, they rotated the house, similar size house, and would front on Pleasant Street. And as you recall, we just had, which we've properly reviewed earlier, we've reviewed several lots on that same subdivision, and they're all lots of record. They're all 50 by 150, which is 7,500 square feet. So they're all buildable lot. All of them are buildable lots, and in fact, two of them down the street there have gotten building permits. And the only reason we looked at it was because they had skewed the foundation on the lot, as you recall. So it made it a little bit tricky. But anyway, so we do have the same site, two different variations. And I did mention in my information I sent to y'all that because it's a lot of record, it does get some, it does have an ability to site a house on it. In fact, Lot 1, if you look at the Plan 1, if you look at that, in fact, when I first saw it, I thought, well, this meets the standard. It met the setback on the front. If it was fronting on Pleasant. It met the side yard because it's a lot of record, and there's a provision in the ordinance to let you go to 10 feet on a corner lot. And then on the other side, it was 13 feet as shown on the document, Plan 1. And then I got a little confused, but the city staff informed me that he really wanted to site on Marion Avenue, front on Marion. So that changed all the configuration. So Michael, you cannot present for the applicant, but you can, I guess you can comment on what discussions you've had with the applicant previously, and maybe we'll get some insight.
Yes, good evening, everyone, Zoning Appeals Board. So with the discussion with the applicant on this, I don't think he had a desired layout really set in stone, because before you have two different site layouts on here. Mr. Leach is correct on one of the site layouts where it does meet the setback requirements. Lots of 50 foot or less can accommodate a 10-foot side yard setback. So Plan 1 you could pull a building permit through us based on this site Plan 1. Just the house itself, the front would need to face Pleasant Street. A lot of the houses in this area of Oak Park subdivision, I believe it is, they're smaller homes. The remaining 3 corner lots, each one of those houses face the narrow portions of the lots in that area.
Said Pleasant, did you mean Marion?
No, Pleasant. Pleasant's the one we've already had those previous 2 lots, 13.
Plan 1 would have the front of the house be on Pleasant.
Correct.
Plan 1 would have it facing Marion.
Okay,
Plan 2 would have it facing Pleasant Street.
gotcha.
Yes.
All right.
But
However,
when I saw it initially, I said, well, he meets all the standards because of the way the ordinance is written, which allows lots of record to have a 10-foot side yard. He doesn't want that the side yard to Marion. He wants it to be the front yard. So therefore, we had a 25-foot requirement on that front yard.
correct.
I know that's confusing. I was totally confused when I first saw the information, because I thought, well, this thing meets the standard. He doesn't need any variances. But then Michael and staff told me, no, he wants the front on Marion, which, as a result of that, you had to have the setback on the front.
That's correct.
So all that to say is Plan 1 and Plan 2 have different standards that he needs to meet, and there's a variance required for both Plan 1 and Plan 2. If he was going to go fronting, using Plan 1, if he was going to front on Pleasant Street, he wouldn't need any variances and could get a building permit if he would front on Pleasant Street. Which is interesting because the second plan, Plan 2, shows it fronting on Pleasant Street. So I guess he's not totally objecting to that. I'm not sure why he just didn't pull a permit, but that's not my decision. Is everybody kind of muddied still on that?
Plan 1, the frontage on Marion. Plan 2, frontage on Pleasant.
Correct.
You just turn the entire plan.
Yeah, he just,
Instead of just putting having the other houses there all long ways.
right.
With the frontage on a
Right.
shorter side.
Right, exactly. If you were able to go out there today, that the one that we gave the 2 that we gave a variance to recently were well on their way. One of them's just about done. It's definitely dried in. The other one's to foundation. So, and those are the ones that were canted. But they could have built them the way when they pull their building permit, they could have built them that way if they hadn't made an error.
That is correct also, yes.
So this one could be built on tomorrow with a building permit if he would front it on Pleasant Street, making it the long way along the lot. So, you know. And Michael, did you talk to him about that? About fronting it a different way?
I did, and you know, what it really boils down to, I believe, in my opinion, in my discussion with Tyler, was a money issue with it. You know, he has these plans drawn up, and, you know, he's ready to move forward with these. The house, I believe the house size is, what, 23 by 32, is that correct?
Yeah, and
42,
42, I'm sorry.
they've only got
966 square feet.
Well, it's relatively in close proximity with the, let me put it this way. So the City of East Ridge adopted infill development, which requires within a 1-block radius, all houses to be architecturally designed the same manner and meet the same size requirements and square footage requirements. So with this house, he's very close to what's in that vicinity for his infill development. Now, I don't, with the orientation of this house, you know, on this, especially on this corner lot, and I don't think the City of East Ridge has any requirements, but in generally in this area, all these corner lot houses are facing the majority where all the other houses are facing. So everything on Pleasant, even your corner lots towards, I'm sorry, what's the road there at the end? Oakdale, I think it is, Oakdale there. So that corner lot, they would be facing Oakdale. So you see this throughout East Ridge, most corner lots, where all the other houses are facing. Majority of the corner lots are facing that way also. So this would almost be a little bit of a deviation from what, not really what the East Ridge has not spec'd out or anything, but proven development over time, I guess you could say, how this houses have been developed and placed on the lots.
Yeah, I did look around at other intersections, and all the houses were basically on the main roads. None of them were facing, in this case, Marion Avenue.
And maybe that was the intent in 1924 when they did develop these lots, these 50 by 150s. You had a longer house, you know, that was, you know, the smaller portion of the lot, that was your facing point of the structures here, so.
So, and the way we put together the agenda is, under A was site plan 1, and that was the one on the front setback, to go from 25 feet to 10. Number B, again, site plan 1 was rear yard setback of not less than 25, and he wants to go to 13. And then C, the other orientation, in this case, it's going to be side to side. He wants to go to 20, on one side, the Marion side would be 25 to 4 feet. And then the other D is, he wants to go on the side yard from 10 to 4. So when he turned it sideways, it really didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, Mike, tell me if I understand this right. If take Plan 1, if your front door of that plan faces Pleasant, you're meeting the setback from the road requirements, you're meeting the side lot requirements. But if your front door is on Marion, then you need to have a variance to go from 25 feet setback down to 10. Rear yard needs a variance to go from 25 feet down to 13.
So if I'm understanding correctly, Mr. Zizao, so on Plan 1, if the building is facing Pleasant, the front of the house is facing Pleasant Street, correct? You would meet all the setback requirements.
No variance needed.
No variance needed.
Gotcha. And you just simply move the front door to the other side. then-
Yes, that is correct.
Then you need to have a 25-foot setback, so we have to go from, allow variance from 25 down to 10. Then the rear would need a variance of 25 down to 13.
That is correct.
I understand.
So, we need to, I'm sorry he's not here, but we need to make a decision. We've got 4 different variances, the way it's listed under new business.
Yeah, and I don't know if we have to address sequentially whatever, but here's my thoughts on this, is that having looked at the site, this Plan 2 is just kind of cockamamie, is the best word I can come up with. When I first got out there, it didn't really look like a buildable site. Obviously it is, it meets the requirement. I didn't realize that was the site until it hit me. But to have just a number of a couple feet, like regardless of what, you'd find that side of the house is between that and the road, just be aesthetically poor, I think, as well as the distance of the porch of the adjoining house or the nearby house, for that to be a couple feet. Right, is
Yeah.
just,
That deck appeared to be almost on the property line.
That's what I was thinking. You know, it used to be a side yard. This lot was a side yard. I looked on the GIS for the county, and all through history, this has been the side yard for that house. And so,
so my thoughts were is if Plan 1, whether it existed or not, if Plan 2 came in front of me, I would reject that outright. And that seems to
Okay,
be a
well-
shared sentiment here.
okay, well, we'll go to C on the agenda, and that covers site plan 2. And I think we ought to take action on site plan 2, and then we can discuss.
That
site
would
plan.
simplify things
Right.
greatly, I think, because I think we do,
So
all that
so
that
I'll
would
need
be
a,
for
I'll need a
plan.
motion on both. Let's do a motion on C first, which is the 25-foot along Marion to 4 feet.
all right.
Let's
the
do that one
Business
first.
C is essentially the Plan 2 proposal.
Correct.
So I propose a motion to deny action on item C,
Do I have a second on that?
aka Site Plan 2.
Do you have a second to that motion? Okay, we do have a motion second. And the reason being, your reason being that it was totally
It,
out of place with the,
It is aesthetically incongruent with,
okay. Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. All in favor to deny, and this is under C, say yes.
Yes.
Any approve? No. Okay, so it does not go forward. Let's go D next. Again, this is the side yard, same site plan 2, and trying to go from 10 feet to 4 feet. Do I have a motion to, since we've already denied the
to be
one?
clear, these are under the same proposal. Item C was one side of the border, and item D is the opposing border of the rear.
It's the south side.
Gotcha. Understood. Motion on D, proposed to deny VR 24-5.
Have a motion, a second, and basically, we've already denied the other, so he couldn't put it there the way he wanted to place it. But it's, again, incongruent with the community, the
With the
setback.
aesthetic of the street, and there's no compelling reason topographically to give a variance to approve.
Okay, I have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion to deny, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Now, let's go to site plan 1. And again, site plan 1 is the Marion Avenue facing, so that, because it was facing Marion, he was having to get his front yard basically would reduce from 25 feet to 10 feet adjacent to Marion. So, as you can see on site plan 1, I think is that a porch that kind of juts out there? Okay. That little jut out on the basic rectangle is a porch, apparently.
Take it no garage here with this. Do you know the proposed floor plan, or this would,
It will have to mimic what you're seeing on Pleasant, 1307, I think it is, because this is in special flood hazard area, so this house will be elevated significantly. To my knowledge, there's not a garage on this, but I could be totally mistaken on this.
Actually, they could have a pull-in garage underneath it, couldn't they, really?
They could have a pull-in garage. They could.
Will that fit with the zoning to allow it, the elevation? I know the foundations have to be of a certain standard because of the hydraulics.
Yes, due to that, so a garage could be introduced to it. With any house built in the special flood hazard area, you have to have engineered flood vents. So like you said, Mr. Leach, the waters that do rise in that area would be able to push strictly right through that house. So there's no hydrostatic pressure on it.
side yard requirement is 10 feet, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So the the lot to its left, if you're standing on Pleasant, what, that porch is clearly not 10 feet from the property line, but the structure needs to be the porch itself.
Talking about that, there's a porch on that house, the existing house on that, that's got a elevated porch,
Yeah, it's got an elevated deck.
elevated deck. Have you seen that one?
I have not. So when you do design a porch or a deck onto a house, it can encroach into the setback requirements of a rear yard and a side yard. This, I'd have to measure to see how far it actually has encroached into.
It's close.
It does
But-
appear close.
But that's a different lot, although it's connected. It was connected at one point. It was used, this was just used as a side yard, according to what I could decipher on GIS.
Mike, you mentioned some adjoining streets had frontage facing the north side as opposed to the east side, some of the other blocks nearby.
Yeah, so in this Oak Park subdivision, the small little subdivision here, the remaining two corner lots, we actually had one tore down on Oakdale, I think it is. Those houses themselves, they do face, they're in conjunction with the remaining houses on those lot lines, so they do face, I believe it is, Marion, I'm sorry, not Oakdale. One faces, I'm sorry, I'm getting my streets mixed up there.
Yeah, Oakdale's
Oakdale,
the street that Pleasant ends on Oakdale on one end. Oakdale's on
It's the other end of that block.
the end down here, yeah, so.
And this neighbor to the west, that faces, their front faces Marion, does it not?
No. None of them face Marion.
correct, yeah, none of the corner lot on Marion does not face Marion, let me put it that way. The one adjacent to this property,
Right.
yes.
Yeah, both corners on Marion, when it intersects with the other street, yeah, are they're facing that other street, not Marion. There was some structure on Marion, appeared to be a garage or something, but it's all torn down.
Is proposed, I mean, the footprint is in line with the other houses on that street. So if you were standing anywhere on Pleasant, it would still be a neat row to the front edge. Don't necessarily see a problem with it.
Well, if the zoning ordinance didn't provide that option for him, then they'd look at it. I'm not sure what the hardship is. It's not a physical land hardship, because he can build on this lot. It is a lot of record, and he can build on it,
Sounds like it's a preference,
preference.
because looking at his application says that he wants a variance because setbacks don't allow for any structure, but
Yep.
there's structures the next 3 lots down.
And we've approved two
Yeah.
just a couple months ago, so.
And his Plan 1 would fit if the door was just on Pleasant. I
Yep.
mean,
And
it seems
interesting,
preferential more than anything.
and
It's not a
interesting,
hardship.
on his application, it said, would a variance, if granted, be a detriment to the public good? And he said, yes. I don't know why you want to do that. That's,
Well, how is the front defined? Simply what you decide to call it, the front, or if there's 2 doors? Design-wise, is there some sort of inherent definition of what makes the front the front?
Front, per East Ridge Code, would be facing the dedicated public right-of-way. And so there's not really a definition for that, to my knowledge.
get back in the ordinance.
Essentially, whatever he chooses the address to be, it's regardless of how it's designed, like if the
Right.
garage was facing.
So, fast forward to 2024, if you look at Hummingbird Village down there, they actually, GIS will sign 2 different addresses to corner lots for the structures down there for the RZ1, 0 lot lines back there. So depending on how the builder wants to orientate that house, he has 2 different addresses to choose from. This particular one has 1 address. I don't think it's ever signed 2 addresses on it, so.
And its
You-
address is Pleasant.
Its address is Pleasant, that is correct. And in all of Pleasant, even the house that was tore down on the end of Pleasant there, that corner lot faced Pleasant. So you're seeing that throughout this Oak Park subdivision, where the houses, whichever house, all the house faces on the interior property lines, your corner lot faces that as well. So it wouldn't be like everything facing Pleasant, then all of a sudden you get to the end of this, now we're going to face it towards Marion. Or vice versa on the other end at Pleasant and Oakdale, now we're going to just change this house and make it, front Oakdale. It faced Pleasant as well when it was there.
And the other part, Michael, is that he's going to have to elevate this thing
Yes, that is
10
correct.
feet.
Roughly 10 feet, yes.
So your front, if you have a couple of foot setback on the front, you're looking at basically, I mean, you're not going to be able to get steps in there. I guess you could run them along the edge of the house or
You
something.
could, yeah.
But the way I looked at the site plan initially, when we labeled it site plan 1, was that he had all that frontage that he could park cars in, he could get the stairs like they built in the other structures on the front, the real front, and it would, because you're gonna have a wall along Marion. You're gonna have basically a 10-foot wall. And to me, it would look better, personally, I think it would look better if it fronted on Pleasant and the walls to the side of Marion. So it just, I think I don't know why he said on the site plan, because the plan, the building plan on Plan 2 showed a little bit different configuration on the building itself, but I just think he'll end up with a wall on Marion on that side, no matter if he gets the variance or not. He's just going to end up with a big old giant wall over there.
Meaning if the front door is on Pleasant, side of Marion would be
Wall. Because Mike's he's got to have engineered plans for that 10-foot foundation footer.
That's correct.
Similar to, if you were out there, you saw what it looked like.
Yeah.
It's massive. I don't know, is it 10 feet probably?
10 or greater, I'll put it that way, yeah. I can just tell you the base flood elevations, how that relates to the height of it, I wouldn't be able to tell you. But I can verify that it's over 10 feet, how about that?
Yeah, you don't have a wall on that side. No matter if the front door is there or not, right?
That's correct.
Okay, are there any other questions for Michael or staff, or? I was just curious when we reviewed it, and I thought, he's just making it hard on himself.
I'd be really curious what his thoughts are on this. I'm not going to suggest let's continue this until we can hear from the applicant, but there's one potential course of action here.
Do I understand that as Plan 1 is now, that it falls within, we don't have to make any special considerations and it can be approved as this?
No.
based on-
It can be approved if the house is facing Pleasant. That is correct. Yes. Facing Marion right now, absolutely not. It
So-
would not meet the front or rear setbacks.
So it's really a self-imposed hardship in his case.
So our choice is either to vote on this or to have a continuance.
Well, okay, and that's fine. It's just not going to affect how the house looks. It's going to be 10 feet up or
Yeah.
12, and it won't look like the other ones on that block, for sure.
Your thoughts, if I'm understanding, are there's a benefit to the front facing Marion aesthetically.
No, facing Pleasant?
I understood you to say if the front were to face Marion, that would, there'd be, it'd be aesthetically beneficial to have like say a front porch facing that side as opposed to a plain side of the house. Is that how I understood you to say?
Well, if it's facing Pleasant, then then I think it'll work better for the house, because you'll have a pull in, and you can have an adequate access with the stairs. If you'll look at the ones that were out there, they had massive stairs. And then on the Marion side, it's just gonna be a big wall.
Yeah.
Either way you do it, it's just gonna be this huge wall, so.
I guess you could make the argument for the front porch facing American would have some improved aesthetic appeal, having the front porch affecting that side. But to the downside of, you would not have a consistent look of all the driveways on Pleasant. You have driveway, side yard.
Well, and we're not preventing, the city of East Ridge is not preventing him from getting a building permit. He can get one tomorrow based on the
Yeah.
site plan one, if he faces it on Pleasant, so, to me, it's more self-imposed than anything.
Currently looking at that, there's, no houses, the frontage on, as you said earlier, none of the houses have a frontage on Marion. There's a shop directly across the street that looks like someone works out of it.
But, yeah, I can't tell.
The one that's to this direction.
No, it faces the street. It has a driveway that opens up to
That's the next
Marion.
one over.
Yep, but it has it faces the next street.
I think, that appeared to be a repair garage, but it didn't look like it was in,
It's actually been vacated now.
Yeah.
Yes.
so
Yeah.
it'll be non-conforming, yeah. Okay. So we've had a pretty thorough discussion. I'm entertaining, what we want to do is, I think we need to do A and B the same way we did C and D in order to look at both setback variance requests.
This is weird. It's, on one hand, it's kind of a screwy idea. On the other hand, it kind of makes sense.
Well, I think my personal preference is to let him get a building permit, you know?
Yeah.
To
Which-
move the front to
Yeah,
facing Marion.
yeah.
So we can approve it with a.
No, he doesn't
So we need to make a motion to deny.
If we deny both of those, then he can still get a building permit. We're not denying him use of this property,
Okay.
but we are saying, structurally, it'll look better if it's facing Pleasant, so.
Well, I'll make a motion to deny A.
So I have a motion to deny A. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion, and a second. And do we have a discussion?
So the motion is to
Deny the
D-
variance request.
deny the request, which would not deny his building permit. He would still be able to proceed with the front door on the Pleasant side.
Yeah.
I understand.
So I have a motion, and a second.
Seconded over here.
She's second. All in favor of that motion to deny, under new business A, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, well, now let's move on to B. B is site plan one again, same thing, and this one's the rear yard setback from 25 feet to 13 feet. And again, it's focused on site plan one. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to deny that one as well.
And we have a motion second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 No opposed. Okay, so that took care of that. Michael, can you inform him
Absolutely.
that he missed a really, really interesting meeting?
I would have been curious to hear his reasoning, but
Well, we helped those folks out that canted on the lots,
Yeah.
Same thing, it's the same street, and I'm encouraged that street's getting built up.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. So, he just needs to move on.
you said, Michael, you said the lot across on Marion is vacant as well? So someone can build on that at some point?
Yes.
The
one
shop.
with- Yes, so as Mr. Leach stated, legal nonconforming, I believe it's been vacated for more than 6 months now, hasn't it, Melissa? So it has to revert back to R1. So whatever you've got in that shop, they can use it as a garage, but single-family dwelling would have to go there now. You can't come back
And
in and use
again,
it.
they'll have to build it up.
Yeah.
That's even closer to the creek.
Yeah,
It'll be
yeah.
a.
Yeah, all that area in there is in the special flood hazard area. So obviously you've probably seen Oakdale Avenue with JDH roofing going in down there, that they're elevated on at least 10, 13 feet of a fill down there. So, yeah, I mean, and it's good. You know, we're getting a lot of those houses raised in those areas, so we're, you know, alleviating the flood. And,
Good for
you
that
know,
area.
absolutely it is.
Well, after a couple of floodings, your house is not worth very much, you know.
No,
You
and
don't.
now you, with us, this entire CMU block, you've got a material that can withstand, 72 hours of water damage and not be affected whatsoever. So, and that's wonderful. No cost or, I guess no insurance cost or flood insurance cost for, something like that, if, versus it being, still at the base flood elevation or lower.
Our family has some property in a flood zone up in Blount County. And if you go to apply for flood insurance, we're elevated slightly, we're on a river, elevated slightly, but it's thousands of dollars a year. I mean, nobody can afford it. I mean, and that's, the Corps of Engineers' theory is you move people away from the water and you build, you remove the houses and all that and declare it to be open space. Or they'll try to channel something. And that's expensive, and that's ongoing maintenance would be for East Ridge to have some sort of a dike or a berm or something through there. So that'd be ongoing maintenance. So really, elevation is a good theory, and it works. But, man, don't try to buy flood insurance.
And it does. So if you take the homes that are in Pleasant right now based, they're elevated by a CMU block, your flood insurance still applies. You take like JDH roofing where they've elevated on fill, you can actually remove that from the special flood hazard area, and your flood insurance is.
You have to have a letter of amendment, as I recall.
Yeah.
It's been a
Mhm.
while since I've known about any
Yeah,
of
so
that.
FEMA would look at that as that's basically not in the special flood hazard anymore because you based it on fill. So there's no way that structure would be inundated by water.
And that's a very impressive building by Mr. Helton down
Yeah, it sure is.
Um,
It's too bad, I'm sorry I didn't interrupt. Those two buildings are gonna be very beautiful. It's too bad they weren't facing more towards Ringgold Road, but they are nice-looking buildings.
Yeah, he's done a good job. And I asked Michael if he would kind of update us. It's a good transition to our continuing ed. As you know, we have to have a continuing ed of so many hours a year, so we do need to put in a couple of minutes here. But I'll ask Michael to kind of update us on what's going on with construction. I've noticed a lot of residential.
Yeah, so I look back at some of our older files from 2023 to 2024 and did a comparison from January of this year to August of this year, and we've issued 32 single-family building permits. The same time, compared to same time last year timeframe, we've submitted, I think it was approved 31. So we're right there at the cusp of that, but we do have a lot of development going on right now. By the end of the year, going into the following year, we'll probably have somewhere around 100, I think it's 145 total single-family homes being developed in East Ridge. So there's quite a bit of residential going on.
Well, and the case we had today is kind of an indication, because this is an infill lot. It had always been used as a side yard for somebody that lived in that house that's there now. And somebody came up and said, yeah, you've got a lot we want to buy from you, and they apparently have sold it. So we're having a lot of infill, it appears.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of contractors reach out to me and ask me, hey, do you know any property or any land in East Ridge that, development? I mean, there's a lot of lots around here. Unfortunately, there's a lot of lots that the city owns that we bought with block grant funding that we can never touch. So they're basically a green space in perpetuity at that
But
point.
a lot of that was flood, right?
Yes, absolutely, and they don't need to be developed on anyway at that point. But yeah, I mean, with 145 single-family homes and still yet there's land to be developed on out here, I mean, you would think at some point the older housing stock would, start to be removed a little bit and some newer one coming in. But we're seeing a lot of properties still seeing some renovations going to them, older ones. I won't necessarily say flip houses, but that's what's happening. We're seeing a lot of renovation on those. But as far as commercial goes, with the border region still in full swing, we're seeing a lot of that spurring those incentives. Obviously, you've seen the new sign down there for Scooters Coffee coming in. Panda Express will be starting. I approved their plans. I think it was last month. So they'll be developing on the lot adjacent to Jonathan's.
Led with that.
Sorry, I'm sorry. And then,
Where's Panda Express going in?
adjacent to Jonathan's down there.
Oh, down by
Yeah.
Bass Pro?
Yes, I'm sorry, Camp Jordan Parkway, yeah, so they got that lot. The Wood Brothers are pretty tight-lipped down there about what's going on, so I don't know any more information. I do know they have acquired, if Mayor Williams is, I'm sorry, Mayor Williams is here, so I do believe that TDOT has approved the acquirement of the remaining acres down there, so I know they're in a rush to get border regions and everything going on there, so hopefully we're gonna see that spur to where the exit ramp is for the, yes, yes. So they've acquired all that property down there, so there'll be some more development coming in down there at that point, so, yeah. And then,
You're talking about to the right of Sub-Zero? What's going into the right of, like, kind of from Top Golf over to the side?
Are you talking about?
oh, so where Twin Peaks is at, and then you have that vacant lot? I don't think they've announced anything for that I'm aware of. I don't know, but where Bass Pro is in the front of Bass Pro, out there towards the interstate, that's the land that they've acquired, so they're looking at,
They'll be able to build out that way.
yes, that is correct, that's
where
correct.
Panda Express will be.
Pan Express will be on the interior of that, where Jonathan's is at, then you have the Hampton Inn and Buddy's Barbecue, and those little strip centers in there. Yeah, it'll be the completion of that portion of Camp Jordan Parkway. Let's put it that way. So the Bass Pro side still has development to go at that point. And then you have Easy Auto. They're doing their Power Sport bike shop on Swope Drive and Ringgold Road. So you'll see that parcel being developed here very shortly. So it's we're still rocking and rolling here. We're moving. Yeah, we sure are.
And now we need to get the Food City redeveloped.
Yeah, Urban Storage Ventures, I believe that's the name of it. They'll be starting soon. They'll be starting soon.
Something proposed for that?
Well, yeah, they purchased all the Osborne centers up there. Urban Storage Development did. So yes, it's in the works.
That's the development group.
Yes, Urban Storage Ventures, I believe it is. Yeah.
Do you see them taking down that building? That's not that old, that building. You see them taking that down or just totally reusing the building itself at the old Food City?
I think it's too valuable. I can't speak for them, but I mean, it's got a lot of potential in it. I could see some of the front buildings being rehabbed, but I can't see that building going anywhere. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
though.
just remind them, we gave them a variance years and years ago.
For
So they
that
could-
particular building?
Yeah, so they could build the deli and all that, so
Okay.
tell them not to tear anything down.
What if it's a city corded micro center? Computer store, closest one's Atlanta. That would be a fantastic building for micro center.
Put it by Panda?
No, put it where the old Food City is.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that would, it'd be great to have a center there for entrepreneurs and all that. That would be kind of cool. Michael, thank you.
Very
You've been
welcome.
busy. Okay, one thing I wanted to hand out to y'all. This came up with the city. I actually saw this online on Chattanooga. And I was so impressed with the mayor and all his folks. I actually came to a meeting. Yes, I did. Anyway, this was a ordinance, thank you, Michael. This was a resolution that was passed by the city council on February 24th, 2024. And I didn't actually see it until it showed up on the Chattanoogan one day. And this was and we sort of we've gotten maybe a case or so that would have related to this, but the city apparently was having a lot of infill requests for higher density zoning. And so the city passed this resolution 3517, and I've kind of highlighted a few of the whereases, but the real compelling issue was, if you look at the fourth whereas, it says, whereas the city council desires to protect the R1 zone single-family residential neighborhoods from and against congestion or excessive concentration of multifamily development, which increases population and traffic and also erodes against the character of traditional single-family residential neighborhoods. And then the next one, and again, this was a resolution, it was not an amendment to the ordinance or to the city, to the city's standards that are published or adopted. Anyway, the next one was city desires orderly development of the city to memorialize by resolution the city's desire to recognize the importance of protecting R1 single-family residential districts, and it goes on. So they've adopted 9 principles, and I've made a copy of them for you. Interesting, balancing development opportunities by considering development scale and form that protects R1 zone properties or closely located single-family residential communities. And then number 2 was promoting development that will minimize increased traffic impacts and incorporate traffic calming measures. You go to the next page, on page 3, protecting integrity of established residential communities within the city and supporting any adopted plan recommendations. I just skipped on down to 5, recognizing the importance of integration between single-family residential communities and higher intensity land uses to the economic and cultural vitality of the entire city. You know, it's interesting because I've worked in a bunch of different cities. A lot of cities I've worked in don't want any kind of commercial development, and they certainly don't want multifamily. And so East Ridge is trying to balance that out. And I think that's very encouraging to me, because some of these cities are basically bedroom communities, and if you want to go to Ace Hardware, you've got to go a distance to that, or go out to eat or anything. So I think East Ridge is trying to balance that. Let's don't go overboard. And I think what part of it was when we were getting a lot of infill, higher density, and people really were unhappy about that. So anyway, there were 9 of these that the city will review. It'll be part of the city's review for zoning for any multifamily. Now, my encouragement to the city was let's do this with commercial also, but I didn't get very far with that. But that was my encouragement.
We don't do commercial development. People don't drive to Georgia City.
Yeah, but I think what you don't want to see is commercial development strip along Germantown Road was the one I was interested in, or Belvoir. You've got all these roads that connect between the interstate area and Ringo Road. If you keep the commercial on Ringo, that's a good thing. What they were really concerned about, I think, was the infill higher density, is what I gathered from just reading all the information. So, and this is a good start at having some background when you're reviewing a zoning case, a multifamily zoning case. And that could be townhouses, I guess, too, Michael. So anyway, that was a good thing, and I was pleased to see this come about, and thought y'all needed to know about it, since sometimes we get involved in cases like this. Okay, I don't think we have anything else. Do we have anything else that anybody needs to talk about? Staff, Michael, Mayor, you've been a very good audience. I do.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a second,
I'll second that.
and all in favor say aye,
Aye.
and we'll see you